Contracts have historically been treated as these defensive shields. You sign them, lock them in a digital drawer, and, well, only pull them out when something goes terribly wrong.
Exactly, they just sit there.
But in this podcast, we are exploring how to flip that dynamic. We are going to look at how you can turn those flat documents into offensive, active tools that constantly monitor your revenue pipeline and drive operational efficiency.
So the root cause of this drain is what we call the agreement trap. Basically, every single sale, new hire, and vendor partnership fundamentally relies on an agreement. But once those terms are negotiated, the data is flattened into a dead-end PDF.
Right, so the data is just stuck.
Stuck and totally unstructured. Because that data is locked away, the processes surrounding it become highly manual. If you need to find a specific renewal date or a liability clause, a human being has to manually open, read, and interpret that file.
And that means you are bleeding resources because your contract data is inert. It is essentially invisible to the rest of your business systems.
Precisely. Breaking out of that trap requires a structural shift, which is the core purpose of the Docusign IAM platform. IAM stands for Intelligent Agreement Management, by the way.
Okay, got it.
To move past the agreement trap, you have to stop thinking about just the signature. The Docusign IAM platform is engineered to connect and optimize the entire lifecycle of an agreement.
Which means it takes what used to be dead text and converts it into active, structured data. Data that fuels your business systems from inception all the way through to post-signature management.
That is the exact paradigm shift we were talking about.
Well, let's look at the actual mechanics of this, starting at the very beginning of the life cycle, the creation phase. Traditionally, creating a contract involves an account executive digging up an old version, deleting the previous client's name, and manually typing in the new one.
Which is a massive vulnerability for human error.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is tedious and incredibly risky.
Right. So within the Docusign IAM platform, you use a feature called agreement preparation. Instead of relying on manual copy-pasting, it uses automated document generation combined with pre-approved legal templates.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the platform dynamically pulls in data directly from your existing systems like customer details from a CRM to instantly populate the agreement for e-signature.
Which means your legal team knows the foundational language is locked and secure, and your sales team isn't wasting time retyping an address 5 times.
Exactly. Everybody wins.
But what about the collaboration piece? Let's say I generate that draft, but I need legal to review a custom term. If I have a quick question on a clause, I am still naturally going to Slack or email legal. How does the system actually intercept that human behavior?
By fundamentally changing where the work happens. That is the role of Agreement Desk. It acts as a centralized intake hub. So if you ping legal on Slack, they will simply route you back to Agreement Desk.
Because that is where the required approval pathways live.
You got it. Instead of wondering whose inbox the contract is buried in, Agreement Desk provides a highly visible, real-time dashboard. You see the exact status, the complete version history, and specifically whose action is required next.
Oh, so it forces the workflow out of the shadows of email and into a clear, trackable environment. I love that. But reviewing dense legal text still takes hours of human capital.
Which brings in AI-assisted review. And, to be clear, this is not just a spell checker. The AI actively reads the draft and checks it against your organization's internal playbooks.
Wait, really? How deep does it actually go?
Very deep. It does not just look for keyword matches. It uses semantic analysis to understand the actual intent of a clause.
Okay, give me an example of how that semantic analysis works in practice.
Sure. Suppose your standard playbook requires a strict net 30 payment term. A vendor sends back a draft that says payment is due within 1 month of the invoice receipt. A basic keyword search might miss that entirely.
Because the words net and 30 aren't literally there.
Right. But the AI understands that the legal definition of 1 month is variable. It could be 28 to 31 days, whereas net 30 is absolute. It flags that potentially risky language and suggests surgical red lines right there in the document.
That is amazing. It is essentially a tireless, lightning-fast legal assistant pre-processing the document. It does not replace the lawyer. It just hands them a file where all the potential landmines are already mapped out.
Precisely. It frees up their intellect for actual negotiation. And once that negotiation is complete and the document is flawless, you transition into the commit phase. Because, well, an error-free document is useless until it is legally binding.
Right, and Docusign e-signature is the standard here. Secure, responsive signing across any device with tamper-evident audit trails. But signing is only half the equation, isn't it?
It is. The more critical challenge today is verifying that the person on the other side of the screen is actually who they claim to be. Identity verification is paramount, especially as transactions become entirely remote.
So how does the Docusign IAM platform handle that?
The platform provides tools that protect your business against fraud with varying levels of security. For standard transactions, you might use simple phone authentication, where a user receives an SMS or an automated call for a one-time passcode.
Makes sense for everyday stuff. But what about high-stakes agreements?
For those, you deploy robust Docusign ID verification.
Wait, how does that robust verification prevent someone from just holding up a printed photo of someone else's driver's license to their webcam?
That is where biometric liveness detection comes in. The system requires the user to upload a photo of a government-issued ID. It instantly checks the specific holographic security layers and watermarks of that ID.
Okay, so it validates the ID itself first.
Right. Then it uses the device's camera to analyze the user's face. It is not just matching a flat image. It is reading 3D contours and micro movements to ensure a live, breathing human is performing the action.
I definitely see the security value there, but how do you balance that high-level biometric scan without completely frustrating the user? If an onboarding process is too clunky, a new customer might just abandon the transaction entirely.
Yeah, that is a huge concern for businesses. But the technology behind Docusign ID verification is engineered specifically to be frictionless. The entire verification process usually happens in under a minute.
Under a minute, really?
Yep, analyzing the ID, mapping the biometrics, and authenticating the user. You get enterprise-grade security without sacrificing the speed that modern consumers demand.
That is impressive. Now, sometimes an agreement is not just a single document to sign. If we are talking about wealth management account onboarding or complex patient intake in healthcare, you are dealing with multiple forms and supplemental uploads.
Oh, absolutely. And for those highly complex, multi-step scenarios, you use workspaces. Think of workspaces as a secure, centralized, collaborative portal.
So instead of sending a client 7 different emails with 7 different links.
Yes, exactly. It unifies the people and the information. It guides the participant step by step through the entire transaction in one organized hub.
Okay, so the ink is dry, the identity is verified, and the multi-step forms are complete. Historically, this is where the document goes to die in a shared drive. How does the Docusign IAM platform keep this data active in the manage phase?
It utilizes obligation management. This capability captures and tracks all the specific contractual commitments made by both parties.
I mean, tracking obligations sounds straightforward, but when you are dealing with thousands of contracts, the variables are constantly moving. Do companies really miss these dates often enough to warrant a dedicated feature?
Oh, they absolutely do. And that is exactly why manual tracking fails. If an enterprise has an intricate service level agreement that requires a specific action 90 days post-delivery, and that clause is buried on page 40 of a flattened PDF, that deadline is going to fly by unnoticed.
Because the data is invisible.
Right. Obligation management actively monitors the agreement. It surfaces that data automatically to prevent unwanted auto-renewals and stays on top of critical payment milestones.
Because if the data remains invisible, you cannot act on it.
Exactly. Furthermore, to give your leadership total visibility, the platform includes comprehensive reporting and analytics.
What kind of visibility are we talking about?
Your staff can look at visual dashboards to instantly assess broader trends, break down different agreement types, and see the overall contract value across the entire organization at a glance.
We have covered incredibly powerful features across create, commit, and manage. But taking a step back from an operational or IT standpoint, how does an organization orchestrate all these distinct phases?
That is the big question.
Yeah, right. If you are stringing together document generation, identity verification, and archiving, how do you do that without writing custom code for every single process?
Well, you use Docusign Workflow Builder. It is a powerful, no-code automation engine. You literally do not need a team of developers to orchestrate these steps.
I like to think of Workflow Builder as a digital train switchboard. It is not just moving the document down a single track. It is automatically switching the tracks based on the data inside the forms.
That is an incredibly accurate way to view it. You can use pre-built templates or a visual drag-and-drop editor to build custom workflows. Take HR onboarding as an example.
Okay, how does that look?
You build a workflow that triggers a web form to collect employee data. Based on their state of residence, the switchboard routes the correct state-specific tax forms. Then it initiates identity verification.
Then routes the offer letter for signatures.
Exactly. And finally, it automatically sends the completed file to a secure archive. All of these logic branches operate automatically in the correct sequence without writing a single line of code.
That secure archiving brings up the next critical piece. Once Workflow Builder routes that final executed agreement, where does it actually live so that the data remains active?
It flows into Docusign Agreement Manager. This is the intelligent repository of the Docusign IAM platform. It centralizes all your signed agreements.
And the true power is that it transforms them from static files into structured, highly searchable data, right?
Spot on. As the documents go in, the system is actively reading and categorizing the terms.
But every industry has entirely unique jargon. Standard AI might recognize a start date, but what if my business relies on highly esoteric terminology?
That is where a groundbreaking feature called custom extractions comes into play. Out of the box, the system understands standard legal clauses. But with custom extractions, you can essentially train the AI on your specific business language.
Using that concept called few-shot learning.
Yes. Walk me through how you understand the mechanics of that.
Well, imagine your supply chain contracts have a unique first delivery window delay penalty clause. You do not need a software engineer to build a new algorithm. You simply show the AI a few examples of what that clause looks like in past contracts.
And the AI maps the mathematical relationship between those words. It learns the underlying concept.
Suddenly, it can extract that exact data point across 10,000 historical contracts in minutes. You are transforming weeks of manual auditing into instant, actionable intelligence.
Exactly. You are teaching the AI your company's native dialect.
Now, let's look at a practical integration challenge. A sales team lives inside a CRM. An operations team relies on specific cloud storage. Do they have to abandon their preferred software ecosystems to log into the Docusign IAM platform?
Not at all. The platform is designed to act as the central nervous system for your agreements, but it connects outward seamlessly. Through the Docusign App Center, which houses extension apps, the platform boasts hundreds of integrations to connect directly with the tools your teams already use daily.
So the goal is eliminating friction by bringing the agreement to the user, rather than forcing the user to find the agreement.
Exactly. Consider Docusign for Salesforce. A sales representative can dynamically generate, send, and manage their contracts without ever leaving their Salesforce interface.
Oh, that is huge. The data just flows fluidly between the two systems. They stay focused on selling instead of jumping between browser tabs.
Right. And for the post-signature phase, you have integrations like Docusign for SharePoint. You can configure your workflows so that once an e-signature file is completed, it does not just sit in an inbox.
Let me guess, it automatically archives directly into your custom predefined folder paths within SharePoint.
You nailed it. It entirely removes the manual downloading and uploading steps.
Okay, we have discussed AI-assisted review, semantic analysis, and custom extractions that learn your company's jargon. What is the actual intelligence layer powering all of this intuitive data extraction across the Docusign IAM platform?
The brain driving all of this is Docusign Iris. Docusign Iris is a purpose-built AI engine embedded deeply within the platform.
You know, AI is heavily marketed right now. A lot of companies are simply plugging generic large language models into their software via an API. How is Docusign Iris fundamentally different from those generic models?
The difference lies in the training data, which directly impacts reliability. Generic large language models are trained on the broad internet.
Right, so they know a little bit about everything.
Which means they are prone to hallucinating or guessing when confronted with highly specific, dense legal text. Docusign Iris, however, has been specifically trained on millions of actual agreements.
Ah, so it possesses deep domain expertise. It is not guessing based on a Wikipedia article it read. It natively understands the structural and legal nuances of a business contract.
Precisely. Because of that highly focused domain-specific training, Docusign Iris can accurately analyze complex text and dynamically suggest the right fields during document generation.
And I imagine it can accurately answer questions about your entire agreement portfolio, too.
Yes, and immediately surface non-compliant clauses without the high risk of hallucination found in generic models.
It is AI engineered specifically for enterprise trust. Well, we have mapped out a significant operational journey today. We examined the agreement trap, that massive financial drain caused by valuable data being buried in unstructured, static PDFs.
And we explored the structural solution.
Exactly. The Docusign IAM platform empowers you to create agreements using dynamic data and AI review. It gives you the tools to commit to those agreements with frictionless biometric identity verification and secure e-signature.
Plus, it ensures you can manage those agreements long after the ink dries. You use Docusign Workflow Builder to orchestrate the process and Docusign Agreement Manager to turn those documents into searchable strategic data.
It really is about taking the agreements that form the foundation of your business and ensuring they are actively working for you rather than slowing you down.
Could not have said it better myself. The technology to unlock your contract data is available. The next step is applying it to your workflows.
If your organization is ready to modernize its infrastructure and break out of the agreement trap, there are several dedicated resources available to you. You can visit Docusign University for comprehensive learning plans and practical templates.
And for specific troubleshooting and in-depth articles, you can access Docusign support.
You can also join the Docusign community to connect with peers and share best practices, or to see exactly how these tools can be customized for your specific operational challenges. Just reach out directly to the sales team.
Definitely take advantage of those.
So think about your own digital filing cabinets, shared drives, and email archives right now. What hidden liabilities or potentially massive missed revenues are currently sleeping quietly inside your static files, just waiting for the right intelligence to wake them up?